based on that cold snap, earlier in the spring, we went out and actually did some bud dissection. We actually went and took the buds off some of the vines in specific locations with specific varieties, and sort of did a post-mortem and take a look at it. And what we saw, unfortunately, was not just primary but secondary bud mortality. So that tells us that not only will there be no fruit, there could well be serious vine damage that's destroyed the vine of itself. What we're seeing as we look at the modeling is probably some pretty serious damage to Syrahs, for instance. Merlot, our biggest red grape that we produce here, has got probably about half of potential death. So when we take a look at it cumulatively, we can see that's probably about almost half of the crop is going to be lost. Now, that was our projections. It's now the spring. It's been a little bit warmer. The bud break will have happened. So we're actually got a survey in the field right now asking growers to go out and actually take a look at what they're physically seeing. But so far, anecdotally, it looks as though our worst case scenario may be coming to fruition.
So for people who like their BC wine, what should they expect for this particular year?
Well, it depends. It looks as though there may not be, again, if the projections come in, we could be down half as much in wine as we expect and have had in the past. But we've been seeing serious degradation or a loss of our total harvest over the last several years, right? And we expect that because of climate change. I guess this cold snap is a great example of climate change, but we also have heat domes, we have atmospheric weather and rivers that all contribute to just a decline in the overall crop. So we've been pretty successful in getting the Ministry of Agriculture in BC to support us with a replant program. That takes care of the long-term damage to the vines, but this specific vintage 2023 that we're talking about, that can't be replanted in time for a crop. So yeah, it could be, ultimately half as much wine available as there typically is in a normal vintage.
And for the growers, I'm grasping for some good news here, but I think you said 80% of the vineyards affected by this at least have some kind of insurance in place to help the growers?
Well, they'll have crop insurance. About 80% of them do, but that doesn't cover 80% of the crop. That just means that there is something for them to help them get through. The problem really is the wineries that need grapes to make wine, and so there is no insurance for that. There is agri-stability, and we talk about an agri-recovery program. The province put that in place when we had the floods at the Sumas Prairie last fall. So maybe there's some programming around that, but we're really waiting to see the survey results so we can get a pretty accurate picture of what's going on before we take the next steps of looking for government support.
So if people go into their favorite store, their favorite wine might not be there from this particular harvest year, and I don't know, I suppose it could mean a further increase in prices for what's there.
I mean, supply and demand would dictate that would make sense, but I'll tell you, growers and winemakers here in British Columbia are very reluctant to increase price. We already realize that there's a lot of cheap foreign subsidized wine in the marketplace. Consumers have a choice, and we just can't keep adding price and price. We're fortunate that we get a lot of support for BC wine here from BC consumers, so we're respectful of that. So it's tough to pass that along. So in the end, wineries tend to eat those costs, but that just makes it that much less profitable and really impacts the long-term success of the business.
The whole thing is a bit of a downer, Miles.
Well, all I can say is continue to support BC wine. Again, people do, and they love it, and BC VQA is your guarantee that it's 100% BC, and not only are you helping to support wineries, but you're helping to support grape growers around the province.
Terrific. Thanks for your time.
Hey, good.
Yeah, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.